Hey fellow skeptics, Lester the Skeptic Tank here. Don't know if this is as visible as I would like it to be. I have to tip my hat to Mr. Culture Casino and whoever he had collaborated with on the devising, the designing, the crafting of the shirt. Not sure if what is being displayed or explained is visible. So apologies, but I have to definitely give my credit again where it's due. I wanted to follow up on my immediate action medical wrap up video. I want to be clear that you I may have a preferred source of teaching, of material when it comes to something like this. It doesn't mean I am closed off to learning from somewhere else. As I even told my own boss at work, I need to be grounded in something. I need to be foundationally functional in something. And just to reiterate, I might have said it, but just to be a bit more tight in my explanation, I did mention that anybody can do X, Y, or Z. The skills you learn, great. But the mindset is the most important because it kind of informs how, when, and why, and where you would most aptly apply the skills you learn. What is most practical? The one thing I appreciate with tactical response is they do it in the context of a worst case scenario, and that's what they plan for. That drives a lot of their thinking, particularly when it comes to, especially in the medical aspect of what might be a situation with a bad guy. Don't want to use the term active you know what. But the other thing I learned is their guiding principles, especially in the worst case scenario, will apply or can apply in a not so hairy of a situation. Not saying that it's all peaches and it's cloud and daffodils, but sometimes the bad guy is not a person. It could be a natural event or a natural disaster. It could be an emergency. It can be a car wreck. So when they use phrasing like get off the X, yes, directly that can be applied to a bad guy. Don't be where you want to get hurt. So in the same vein, you want to think along those lines from a medical emergency scenario. You want to get off the X. You want to be in a position where you can apply treatment if you got to apply treatment either to yourself or someone else, especially your loved ones. So that's why I appreciate again going back to this explanation of paradigm and how those pieces fit. Again, you go anywhere and learn these various skills. Whether that's triggering, pulling the trigger, you know what I mean, throwing a punch, doing your jits maneuvers, and when you put it in that context, you kind of learn right away what maneuvers, what movements are more conducive to that context. Not that that's any bad, and as I explained to many of the people I come in contact with, my friends, I've explained, yes, you want to do something that's conducive to the situation for which you will want to prepare for. At the same time, again, there's nothing terribly wrong anyway, with getting your duel on, whether that's in a more sportive context, or for those Taekwondo practitioners, nothing terribly wrong with sparring, as long as it's done in the proper manner. Meaning, the upside to being in a place like a jiu-jitsu gym, Muay Thai gym, boxing gym, a decent JKD place, is if they do spar properly, it gets people used to this idea of someone's doing this against them, someone's doing that against them, and they'll deal with that with varying energies. So, without going too further into that, I wanted to also do an unboxing. The intention behind this product being delivered to me, I wanted it during my class. However, the nice thing about the class, when you take it, they'll provide you what they call training supplies. Supplies you'll use over time that will be part of your training regimen at home. So you don't run the risk of eliminating your what you might call your own safety kit. So but in the medical world, I don't know. They do make training products. You know, when I did the CPA, not the CPA, but the but to what I mean is when I was doing CPR. When I did the CPR thing, they had dummies, training dummies. That's cool. You know, practice those chest compressions. But when it comes to application of the many tools in a medical situation, so this is what I unearthed. So this is what I was hoping to get by the time I got into Idaho, or at least so I can pack it with me. So when I went to Idaho, but the nice thing about the class is we were each given, and we were each using items from this, what is called a V.O.K. So this is what they call, as you can tell from the labeling, this is what it's just identified as. Jaeger in his material put in another acronym, MOVE, M-O-V-E, which means motionless operators ventilate easily. So this is a play off of that, a ventilated operator. So you can kind of tell what is included. So I can either use this as further training. I think maybe a couple of items. There's this NAP, so nasal pharyngeal airway. Nasopharyngeal airway. It's a plastic tube. You can kind of see it underneath the plastic wrap. This will likely be in my stay at home, and then when come payday or whenever I can get paid, it's nice to have my little side gig as well. It's a way for me to finance this. I might get another. I do have my red medic bag. Let me see if I can bring that out for you guys. Bear with me here real quick. I think I might have shown it. So this is what I brought with me. They didn't say anything one way or another. They figured this was going to be like my mission critical if I ran into a trauma situation. Can't have too many of these. I think when I got some stuff from USCCA, they gave me of course, when you sign up, they give you all these bonus swag items, which is cool. I appreciate that. I don't mind a good swag bag. But I think part of the swag bag gave me some other trauma-related items, which will help because a lot of these items that you might get in something like this, a lot of these are one-time application type of devices. So like you see the compression, the compression bandage, the gauze, and this is why if I could afford it, I would get more than one of these because can never have enough. One of the things about the class, I might have mentioned it already, but you will come across, especially when you converse with the instructors, you will be met with various moral and ethical questions. Particularly when you're not in the professional capacity, like you're not an employed paramedic. but you do have the skills in the case of a medical emergency. You can apply it to yourself and, more importantly, your loved ones. If there is any kind of requirement, it's that. Like I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned in my last video, but one of the things we talked about in conversation is helping those you can save. You're only one person, especially. Your obligation is to save who you can. Although you don't have a legal requirement to, at the same time, we have to be mindful of doing things within the scope of our training. There will be things I likely will not do, but I will make sure, to the best of my ability, someone will be triaged to the point where they'll be able to be handed off to the next level of care. So that's the other thing too, is being mindful of the situation and when you find it personally necessary, because there are the Good Samaritan laws, and that was one of the things I learned, and I think I mentioned that in my last video. But without further ado, I don't know if you want me to reveal what's in the kit. I don't like taking things apart that is neatly packed, because let me see if I can bring out the kit that I did pack with me, the stuff that I technically have a training gauze now with what we used in the class. So appreciate this nice little blurb from Tactical Responses. Lester, thanks for your order. Happy to see you're prepared. Stay dangerous. So I very much like the people there, and one thing you'll get is once you start getting to that mode and working with them and their material and their people, there's nothing like knowing that you're part of something bigger. Going in, I was there to soak up the material, learn the material, kind of try to make myself one with the material so I can deploy what's being taught and improve over time, do my homework. And at the end of the day, when they talk about it, you're part of something greater, not just a network. Yes, we have that. Like once you take a class or two and they mention it, you will get or you should get an invite to their alumni group. But more importantly, they said you're part of a family now, and I felt that. As I got to know them more, and especially when I took two classes pretty much within 2 weeks of each other. Yeah, I had that week of space of free time. So, again, if you can foot it, you've got, in terms of money, in terms of time, energy, because I know depending on how you get around, you can either drive to Tennessee or you can drive to any of the venues that they do their other classes in. Like I mentioned with the fight appears to be only offered at Camden for the time being. When I looked at their schedule listing, they didn't have classes in any other location but Camden. But like I said, if you have the opportunity, book a class in Camden, stay at the team room. It's an experience. Even if you're a woman, and I'll say right away, it is a dude's domain. But if you get a kick out of the humor, great. It's an experience. And yes, I did see a woman stay in the team room by virtue of the signature. At least that's how I took it. And that person who I'm referring to, I can always talk to that person and say, hey, I mean, you wouldn't put your name on the bunk frame if you didn't stay there, I don't think. But it's one of those experiences, especially if you get to stay with someone other than yourself. I was glad to be able to spend time with two people, a father and a son. And it was just fun shooting the breeze, especially when they're from a different part of town than I was. So, yeah, this is going to be probably something that I will put in one of my bags, and that's what I'm trying to get used to, is putting more of this stuff on my person. And And yes, pockets are a thing. And I realized with some of the pants I do have in my possession, my pockets run deeper than I realized. And it's just a matter of strategizing placement. Um, so yes, duct tape. You'll and I appreciated their ability to think on their feet in terms of devising this kit, because they will tell you, like, if you can find a ready-made chest seal, go for it. But at the same time, they showed me a way to be resourceful, even the packaging, and this is why the duct tape is there. I will not tell you what the safety pins are for. Take the class. I wouldn't say pay the however much I paid at the time. Not saying that it's not worth it, but I wouldn't think you'd want to spend $650 to figure out what to do with two safety pins. You want the experience of knowing how to apply medical skills in a trauma scenario, especially if bad guys are involved, and maybe bad non-humanoid items like a natural disaster, cars, oncoming traffic. Yeah. Go for that. But if anything, it teaches you to figure or get to a point where I I have everything I need to not ask myself, did I do everything I could to save a life, especially if it involves a loved one. All right. I appreciate, for those who watched the first part, appreciate it. And I know I went into lengthy detail about my JKD development or my Marshall development as I got older and as I've been exposed to other material and specifically the paradigm I'm now adopting. It's nothing against what I've done before, but it's all coming together. And I think as I get older, as anybody gets older and grows, that they'll find ways to improve. And in my case, it's just knowing the paradigm from which I'm working and how to work that best. And then how to reconcile all that I'm learning, even as I go to a gym in Portland, that good people. And they are hooked up with a guy, Paul Sharp, who has ties within the ShivWorks community, the ECQC mindset, and all that. And just coming to mind, meeting of the minds, and all that, and how to tailor what I'm learning, not to discredit anything else I've learned as bad, but knowing where they properly fit. So, probably for the next part, if there is a third part to this, it'll, because I did mention my development and I will probably review it. I should do a better job of that. Review my last video and to see if I'm making sense and then go from there. All right, skeptics, until next time, have a good one. I'll probably get this one up tonight, or I may have another one that might end up being sent sooner, because this next what I'm going to do is, it's not related to this class. I do follow pro sports, but I don't follow so much of the, I don't know if it's drama, but a lot of the hysteria. And I'll expand on that in that video. All right. Peace out, skeptics. Check you later.